In a world of seemingly endless podcasts comes what many would call another one. Welcome to the Two Men podcast with your hosts Tim Matson and Phil Powell. Now please join these two confirmed men, that's two moderately entertaining nerds, as they take you on another podcast adventure that's guaranteed to be funny. Or not. This week the two men talk about how to be creative.
We're recording!
Yay! Welcome to another Two Men podcast.
Two! Yay!
There are two of us, indeed. This one of the two is named Tim.
This other one, he's Phil.
It's good to be with you today. And today, we've decided to be helpful.
We're going to give you advice.
Yeah, we're going to definitely give you advice on how to be creative.
Lord knows our life is a piece of art. And so we are going to, we're in a position to tell other people how to be creative.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. Our lives pretty much are performance art at this point.
That's right.
An absurdist play, if you will.
All right, so number one tip
for
being creative, Tim, what would it be? Hit me, baby.
Alcohol. Alcohol is a great addition to the creative mind. At least it was for me. Last night, I gave Phil a booty call at 12 o'clock.
No, it was more like 10:30.
Was it 10:30? Okay. I had lost track of time, to be honest.
At my age, that is like
midnight, right? Yeah. I was in the middle of writing something, and I couldn't think of a name for something, and so I called in my creative partner here.
Yes. You wanted the name of a high school or a street or a town.
No, I was trying to think of a name. Yeah, a name for a town.
Yeah.
A name for a town.
I gave you a couple of good options.
You did, actually. It was very helpful. So, in maybe in lieu of alcohol, calling in another person with a fresh perspective.
Yeah, that's a pretty good tip.
That's a good tip.
I would also say I've written several things over the years, not all of them good, most of them bad. I've attempted to do a lot of things, drawing when I was a kid, comic books. So here's my number one tip for not so much being creative, but creating art, which is where you're headed. Don't quit. That's the number one.
Yeah.
That's the number one barrier to actually getting something done.
That's true. If you can't create something if you've stopped creating.
Right.
Whoa, that's
deep.
Yeah.
That's almost like philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
I think the other part of being creative is just when it gets hard is when people want to... Not that. Tim has the most junior high mind.
My mind is constantly like 7th grade level. I mean,
I'm going to go so far as to say whatever that era, 5th, 6th grade.
It might be. I mean, it's pretty sophisticated for a 5th grader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever it gets difficult.
Oh, okay. Difficult. I see.
That's exactly when people want to quit.
Yeah.
They want to quit, and more importantly, they chase the what I call idea butterfly. And I mean this sincerely is, oh, now I see this other idea which would be so much better. And so they'll quit at the point that gets hard. And they don't realize that once they reach the exact same juncture, because that same idea, everybody has ideas. Ideas are easy. Ideas are pie compared to the actual
dime
work.
A dozen.
Yeah. So when you try to make it specific, that's when it becomes hard. So you, no laughter that time?
No, I'm in agreement with you.
Okay.
It's becoming hard.
That's right. I'd say in another 10 minutes, we'll be there.
Jeez, you're optimistic.
Oh, well, what with Calamine lotion and other medicinals, we'll be good to go. When's the last time you had Calamine lotion?
I don't know. I can't think of the last time I had Calamine lotion.
Is the only time you use Calamine lotion when you have a rash?
No, poison ivy is whenever I used it. I haven't had poison ivy for rash from poison ivy for a long time.
Distinctive smell, Calamine lotion.
It is a very distinctive smell. Yeah.
If you went to the drugstore and people smelled you, they knew you had poison.
Yeah, stay away from that guy.
That-
It smells like Calamine lotion.
That's right. You didn't wear Calamine lotion as let's say, a dating
It wouldn't
cologne,
make a good aftershave.
or
no.
a cologne, no,
No.
or a deodorant. You haven't
No.
seen Calamine deodorant?
No. It's like Ben Gay. You don't really want to smell of Ben Gay when you're out on a date. That's for
No.
that's for old people.
Yeah, Ben Gay, isn't that for sore muscles?
Yeah.
And what's it do to them?
I don't know. It just makes them smell like Ben Gay, as far as I know.
It soothes your sore
It's
muscles.
supposed to be like it heats. It's like one of those icy hot kind of things, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never.
You
used
rub it
Ben
on
Gay.
it, makes you feel better. It's like the snake oil of your skin.
Snake oil.
Not to be confused, Ben Gay is not Ben Folds 5. Different thing
no,
altogether.
that's a different thing entirely. Yeah, that was not a very creative joke. You need to rework that.
See, that's an example
It's an example
of where you try, but I did commit. I did not.
I'm proud of you for committing to that joke, regardless of its
of the
quality.
outcome. That's right.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect. And you got to fail
Yeah.
in order to succeed.
That's what you were demonstrating, is it?
I was demonstrating
Good,
failure, at least
good.
with this audience. However, a different, perhaps more sophisticated audience may have appreciated it, but I understand that Tim is of, limited repertoire.
I have very discerning tastes. They really begin and end at a good fart joke.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, coming from the guy who was laughing at hard.
It's something being hard. In my defense, I spent like weeks with a cast.
Hard?
No, occasionally, who really loved a good sexual innuendo.
Yes.
We loved a good sexual innuendo.
Were you the one who innuendoed?
Might be.
Mhm. Yeah.
More often than not, it was you.
Oh, you guys have nothing better to do while I'm giving notes than
Jeez.
to...
This is a throwback to last week's episode about the show.
That's right. I'm trying to do the hard work, or the difficult work, rather, and you guys are over there having your
I
little
have to face up to
gigglies.
probably being the class clown out of the group and really being a problem. I was a
Yes.
problem, wasn't I?
Well, you were not overtly so, then I guess not. You were just subverting
I was, yeah. I was subverting.
my notes
Yeah.
by making naughty jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to cushion their impact.
By making them non-existent?
No. Okay.
Anyway, how to be
How to
creative.
be creative.
When would you found that you're the most creative?
I tend to be very creative after I've seen something that I find immensely entertaining or thought-provoking. So
Mhm.
I will I've come away from a good concert feeling really creative and ready to do something. I've come away from seeing a stage play or a movie energized and feeling like I could make something. So I think being inspired is important.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. Feeding yourself, knowing what's out there too.
Yeah.
Knowing the standard by which you are to be held. I think being creative, I think everyone is creative. And I've gotten into disagreements
I
with
agree.
this, where people were, I think the distinction between science and art is artificial. So, but I do think though that creative thinking is just like, math or anything else, is something that you get better at by doing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's undervalued. The creative thought process is undervalued when it comes to other things like you were talking about, science or mathematics like that.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need a creative leap to make connections between things, and it can help scientists and mathematicians and people who are more of that bent. You need a creative mind to come to conclusions that you might not otherwise find.
Right.
I think.
Right. I think the more we think of them as the same, I mean, explain to me how science is not creative.
I don't know that I could.
Okay, so to me,
I
that
mean, I think
demonstrates that they're now. You could demonstrate to me, or more readily, is like how is science involved in art? And I would say that there's a lot of science involved in the technical aspects of the creation of art.
it is, but I mean, a lot of it is very intuitive, especially comedy. For comedy, I think you develop a sense of what makes something funny. And in some ways, it is a bit scientific. I mean, if I pause here and if I pause for this length of time, this will make that joke funnier.
Right.
You and I both know that if you are walking or moving on a punchline, that punchline is less funny than if you stand still and deliver the punchline.
Amen.
And
Preach it, brother.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, that is something a lot of less experienced people don't understand.
Right.
And in that way, it is a bit of a science. Comedy can be a bit of a science. You can know certain facts about them. And as soon as you know that fact, you can break that fact by doing the opposite in some ways. But you have to understand the rule that you're breaking before you break it.
I think the argument is that science, as it's traditionally viewed, has a much greater chance of impacting the entire world, whereas a single painting, let's say, a story has less impact. And I guess I would argue, if you look at history, that actually pieces of art, while technology has been transformative, so is art, in the same way that a piece of technology can or does.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, the invention of the cellular phone transformed society permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And that is technology having an impact on society. And that's a dime a dozen. You can find numerous things. Art has the potential to influence society, but there are fewer examples of it, I think.
All right, this is a moment for a segue based upon what you've just said. This is an aside, which is artistic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You have to give a direct answer.
I can do that.
All right. Smartphones.
Yeah.
Have you ever sexted with your smartphone, and did you consider it art if you did?
No, I haven't really. If I have done some sexting, it was fairly tame sexting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have sent some spicy texts, but I wouldn't call them sexting, really.
All right.
I'm pretty lame when it comes to that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
See, I was thinking, is sexting, does it have to be printed, or is that also not photographs?
Well, I mean, it would include both. I mean, you could take pictures or you can send texts. I mean, it's pillow talk, basically.
Don't you have to accompany the pictures with like a tagline of some kind, or
a tagline?
Or a call to action?
Like God. Maybe a theme song.
It just seems like that it should be more artful. Or perhaps the art is there.
Okay. I don't know that there's really an art to it. I mean, that's fairly basic. The base drive takes over.
I don't know. I would defend it's directly proportional to how attractive you are by modern standards. Because if you're attractive by modern standards, you can take a picture and write anything you want, and you're probably going to be considered successful. If you are, let's say, less flattering with your clothes off.
I don't like the way you're looking at me.
Then you got to find a good angle.
There's lighting involved. Yeah.
There's photoshopping. It's a much more complex part. And then if you were put some text with it, what would you say? Would you go for a pun? Would you?
Nobody likes a pun. No one's going to get lucky with a pun.
There are a few people who like puns.
No, but nobody gets hot for a pun. That's like a dad joke kind of territory. Puns are dad jokes. And nobody really wants to be dad joke when it comes to sexting.
It's probably bad pillow talk.
It probably is, yeah. I mean,
bad pillow talk.
I mean, you don't really like lay in bed next to your lover and
But
brush
you don't lay in bed
brush
next
her
to-
hair from her eyes and just say a cool pun to her. No, that's not something you would do.
I don't know. I mean, if it was good,
It would have to be extremely good.
yeah.
Most people groan at puns. You don't really
Yes.
want someone groaning at your sex talk.
Well, you want them grown in the right way.
I mean, I suppose, yeah, but I mean,
you could interpret it how you
theory,
like. You don't want them bad groaning.
No bad groaning. No.
Only positive groaning.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've answered that.
I have.
You're
yeah.
not creative. You're not creative when it comes to sexting.
Not really that confident when it comes to sexting. No.
So, what was the equivalent of sexting when we were in high school?
Now
or
that would be
college?
passing a note probably to somebody.
Seems like a long process. And
Well,
did you,
those were the analog days,
did you like make a drawing of yourself?
pre-digital. Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, do a nice artistic
Here's-
representation of a dick pic. That'd be nice. It would be a dick note. Hey, could you pass this dick note down the road to
Down the road
Sally?
to Sally. Don't let Evelyn see it under any circumstances. This note is not for
I
Evelyn.
recognize this dick note.
It is for Sally.
Can you imagine two people like comparing like police sketches? Do you recognize this dick note?
Well, it'll put you in a pretty difficult situation because
Oh my god.
one of them might know you were exaggerating and one of them wouldn't.
Oh,
you
that's
know,
possibly true.
and you would have to put something in for scale.
You'd have to draw like a number 2 pencil or something.
Or like a quarter. Or
I have put a quarter in there. Items in for scale.
Ice, actually, no, that's what you wouldn't do if you were in a deficit circumstance.
So-
because you wouldn't want to put anything in for scale because then it would be like, well, you know.
So what would you do before then? Would it be a dick etching? In the
Again.
olden days, I'm sending you a dick etching.
Well, I'm still trying to wrap my head around why. Now, this is wildly jumping topics, but it is creative.
It's being very creative.
Why? I understand why they wore masks.
Wait,
Okay.
what?
Greeks.
Oh, you really had thrown me there for a bit.
Okay, but this goes back
Thought
to
maybe you had
work.
a
This goes back to
mask on
work.
your Johnson.
Okay, so like you're working to create images of genitalia. Okay,
Okay.
you know a node is working
Sure,
to
yeah,
create
right,
images
yeah,
of
right.
genitalia.
Mm-hmm.
And there were fertility, symbols, gods, little totems.
Sure.
So it became more difficult. The more you had to carve in stone, okay, the more sexting was difficult.
Yeah, I would say so.
So using a pencil to pass a note, easier. Taking a picture, way easier.
Yeah.
And you can send it to millions of people if you want.
If you're David or Congressman Weiner, yeah,
That's right.
yeah, you can send it to as many people as you want.
But I still don't know why did like Oedipus Rex,
Mm-hmm.
to the best of my knowledge, had nothing to do with penises, but yet the actors...
Well, in a sense that he put it in the wrong place.
Right, but they wore it for all plays. All the actors wore phalluses, right?
Oh.
It was like part of their,
I guess, yeah.
costume.
Yeah.
So my question would be, would that sometimes not be out of genre?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying it's like, here's... And did they only have phalluses?
I don't recall there ever being vagina like things that you strap on. Do you?
No, I don't. But don't you
Well-
think that's a little...
Very sexist, maybe.
It's just weird, don't you?
It's a little weird.
You would...
It is weird for you to strap on a ceramic penis. Yeah.
Maybe they tried
Paper
the-
mache something.
the vaginasis, and it didn't read. Like from a distance, it's like, yeah, it's not reading.
Nah, yeah.
It's not reading. So
the first director is like, cut that.
Only phalluses. Everyone phalluses.
Phalluses for everyone.
I don't know, but because wouldn't that make everyone male? Ish.
And
are we
maybe
talking
the
about
lack of a phallus indicated that character was female?
Well, the question is, did some actors not have phalluses?
God, I don't remember. You're asking me to recall theater history.
Or is it phalluses?
Phalluses? I don't know.
Or phallusi? We need to get back to talking about our childhood.
Being creative.
Being creative. What was the most creative time for you as a child?
The most creative thing I ever did as a child was convincing my mother that I had not just sneaked an adult magazine out of the house, that it was actually a firecracker instead.
How'd that go? Tell me.
It went really well. She absolutely believed that I had snuck a firecracker out instead of an adult magazine.
So you must have got caught.
I did. I was trying to be very cool and move the contraband from inside the house where I had hidden it.
Successfully.
I was moving it to a different hiding.
Under your bed?
No, it was in the closet someplace. I don't remember. Oh, yeah, I do remember. The carpet came up in the closet, so it was under the carpet.
All right.
So I was moving it to an outdoor location.
Playboy, Hustler, Penthouse?
Oh, yeah, I think it was a Playboy.
Relatively tame, then.
It's fairly tame. But anyway, it was the 4th of July. I was moving it to a new hiding place, and Mom thought I was moving rather suspiciously.
Okay,
and
so
she,
where was the magazine?
It was in my boot. I was wearing cowboy boots, and I had stuck it in the boot, which meant I was walking a little weird to keep from bending it, and she thought I was moving a little weird, which I was.
Put it in your chest, like under your shirt.
Listen, man, I wasn't thinking. I was busy. There was a sense of urgency to this process.
Did you have to give it to somebody else?
No.
So why were you moving it in the first place?
Because I was going to trade it to one of the neighbor kids for a different issue.
Oh, yeah. Well, I understand the urgency.
Yeah, that was.
So the urgency was Mother Nature.
Maybe. Anyway, at any rate, it was the 4th of July, and so we managed to. I took off running because I did not want her to catch me with it, and I ran into the cornfield next to the house.
Thank God for the cornfield.
Thank God for the cornfield. And then hit it, and then came back out, and Mom wanted to know what I had smuggled, knowing I had smuggled something. And I said, a firecracker, because you wouldn't let us light one off. We wanted to light them off.
Mm-hmm.
So
she bought it?
She totally bought it, yeah.
And then, but did she say, bring me the firecracker?
I told her I threw it out into the cornfield.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. I thought so.
But
that was creative.
You didn't get in trouble.
No, I didn't get in trouble. Well, no, I did get in trouble, yes.
So what was the punishment?
We didn't get to light off fireworks until later than Mom had told us.
Oh, that's not much of a punishment.
It was killing us. It was the 4th of July, and we wanted to light off fireworks.
Mm.
And so we didn't get to do it until
So you were doing two treats. You were doing pornography and
explosives.
And explosives.
It's a very American thing to do.
On 4th of July, boy, you were just.
I was a real American.
You were celebrating. You loved America.
I loved America so much that I had a naked woman in my boot and an explosive.
This has nothing to do with being creative.
Well, I think we've kind of used up our time on creativity today. We've spent a good amount of time not discussing it.
Yes.
So, as per usual, we have gone off on a tangent. That's apparently, I've been told that's one of the things people like about us.
Tangi.
Yeah.
Tangential
nature of our podcasts. So anyway, that comes to a close, another episode of the Two Men Podcast with me, Tim.
And me, Phil.
Bye.
Bye.
Greetings, I am Alice, highly paid digital assistant to the Two Men Podcast. Thanks for spending time with the two moderately entertaining nerds, Tim Matson and Phil Powell. Want to let us know what you thought of the show? Have an idea for a topic we can discuss? Want to demand your money back? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us an email at twomencast@gmail.com. In the meantime, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Also, for all discussions moderately funny, you can join us at facebook.com/2mencast. Join us next time when we will be guaranteed to be funny. Or not.